back to Predatory Exotics. Today we've got another Crested Gecko setup. I know you saw one a few weeks ago that we did for our friends, but today this is going to be for us. We've got a few different bits and it's a slightly different setup.
So this setup is going to total you about £300. This is what it cost us to get all these items today. Now that doesn't include the gecko itself, so of course that's going to add a little extra price on top. Comparing to the one that we did before, which I'm going to show here, make sure you click that one first. This one's just going to have a few more bits and a bit of a different layout as well.
Yeah, so the last one's about 195 and so this one's about 300. So
yeah, like we've got I think like different substrate, a few more items, kind of testing out a few new things. So let's get into this. So we're going to start off as most tanks you do, where you're going to have to put in the background. Now of course we did get this on Facebook Marketplace as well, so it did not come with one, so we had to purchase one ourselves.
And because we're going to be running the wire behind the background, we've got the Haberstat on-off thermostat. This is, how much is it about?
It was about like 50, around 50.
About £50, but you do get the whole digital display, and it does a day-night as well, which is really cool.
That was definitely a big seller, because then you don't have to worry about turning the lights on and off, and of course you can set the temperature to what you want at night. Of course, just being an on-off works perfectly fine with the heat mat that we've got. We haven't got any bulbs, so I think this was the best option for us. Alright, so as you know, on the back of all Exoterra backgrounds, they come with a little indent which allows you to run the wires. So we're going to be running it down in towards where the soil is and then kind of back up and stuck next to where the heat mat is. How we do this.
So put the suction cup on the side of the probe, don't put it on the other side, otherwise you can't get it behind the background.
Okay, can we we can't even Okay, second attempt successful. We now have the suction cup on the other side with the probe. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And we're just going to be sticking it roughly where the heat mat's going to be going.
We can change it in a minute.
This will all be hidden with plants anyways. And then also comes in the thermostat is a nice double-sided Velcro which allows you to stick it just to the front of the tank. And as you can see, it allows you to stick it onto the front and remove with ease with the Velcro on the back.
And once we've done the setup, we'll show you how we set it to the right temperature and stuff like that. So next we're going to be adding our substrate. We've gone for the Exoterra dual layers, so we've got a couple different ones. So the one here is that Asian leaf one, so it's got these leaves and the substrate. This is the smaller bag, and then this is the bigger bag, and it's actually the moss one. There's 3 different varieties of these. There's also a bamboo leaf one, but we picked these 2 for our Crested Gecko.
So of course you get the leaves to give it a nice 3 kind of tier layer substrate. And then of course you've got your moss, which is going to hold in that humidity for the Crested Gecko and keep it nice and high. Alright. This is our first time using these substrates. We have bought a few of these, but we've never actually used them. I don't know if you guys use them.
Yeah, I've got one, but I haven't used it yet. Obviously in the last video we did do the cocoa brick, which wasn't the greatest success we've had.
So we thought we'd also go for this one just because you get a little more variety in the substrate as well. These have already been expanded, so we don't have to worry about any of that. We're just going to have to moisten up the soil a bit. So I'm going to be adding the bigger bag first.
So because it's dry, it's going to be quite dusty, but once you add the moisture, it's going to darken up and be a lot better.
And as you can see, that first one added quite a good amount. And we got two just to add, just to get a bit more in that level, giving it a bit more depth. And of course you'll also get the depth from the other two things, the leaves and the moss. But quite nice, to be fair. A lot easier and a lot less hassle than buying the brick, but a bit more expensive than the actual brick. Now of course you've got all three bricks for, I believe it was
£9.
£9, but both of these bags totaled £20 in total, not individually, to get them as a pair.
So we've got our sprayer, so we're going to moisten down this substrate.
So you want to make sure you get all the dry spots from the bottom as well, to get them all nice and moist.
This one?
Yeah. And that should be good. Because of course we'll moisten the moss as well. This is the kind of daily spraying you're going to want to do every day anyways. So you definitely want to look into purchasing some kind of spray bottle if you were looking into getting a Crested Gecko or anything that requires high humidity.
And you notice the difference in smell as well. Once you've moistened it down, you'll know when it gets to the point.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're going to look into adding the next two layers. As we said, this is a 3-layer one.
So the moss is designed to actually raise the humidity inside your enclosure, and it will provide a localised spot where the gecko can go, especially if it's shedding. It can go to that area of higher humidity, and it will help get that shed off.
So we put it in one place.
Half.
Yeah. I'll give you some of this. And then I'll grab the rest, and then we're just going to spread it. So we're looking to cover about half of the enclosure with this moss, and then probably the other half looking to be the leaves. Now it does come as kind of a ball.
And it does come dry as well, so you will need to moisten this down. So as you can see, we've done like a divide here, so we've got our normal substrate here and we've got our moss. So we're just going to spray this, and this will actually absorb all this moisture. So now we've got the second layer of our 2-layer substrate for this pack, which is the dried leaves. So if we open these up, these are also great if you choose to do a bioactive enclosure, because the leaves will decompose with your wood lice and springtails, but we're not going to do that today. This is just...
We are going to be looking to eventually in the future turn this into a bioactive one, but that will raise the cost of your enclosure.
So this is going to make it a lot more naturalistic, and it's going to provide some enrichment for the gecko if it does choose to do some digging inside the enclosure. So this is the final result of the 2-in-1 dual layer Exoterra substrate. So we've got our normal coconut husk here, we've got our forest moss, which is nice and damp, it's going to raise the humidity. Then we've got our dried leaves, which we've sprayed down so you can see. So that is providing our substrate layer for the Crested Gecko.
So next we're going to be adding our floor plants. We've gone with two different floor plants. This is the first one. This is a tropical canopy.
And then we've got the Exoterra fern. I think this is the large one. And this is just going to provide some ground cover on our terrarium. So we've got our ground plants in, so our fern we've put here. And we've got our tropical canopy on this side, providing a bit of height. And the gecko will be able to climb on these broader leaves up at the top.
Gives them a lot of hiding ground space towards the back as well, leaving the front a lot more open. So as we did in one of our other enclosures, we've gone with the canopy combo dish, which I think is just such a great pick for a Crested Gecko, because of course you get the two individual slots, one for his food and one for water.
And it's great for a lot of other geckos as well, as long as you're using that pre-mixed diet. It's good for a lot of day geckos and morning geckos and stuff like that. So that does have a small water dish on it, but we've also got this reservoir, which looks like a tree trunk, but when you pull off the top, it's actually got a reservoir bottle in, and this will slowly drain out into the reservoir at the bottom, and and it will provide fresh water for the gecko at all times. So we're going to put that somewhere opposite side to the heat source, so at the front of our tank, just about here.
So yeah, we're just going to slot it in, and that is nice and secure. I really like this adhesive. Well, it's not really an adhesive, it's just kind of like a suction. It provides really good support considering it is just a suction. So next up, we're going to be adding in the vines. We've gone for 2 different vines this time. We've actually got the large normal one, jungle vine, which we had last time, but this time we've gone for a small moss vine, which just to help keep in that humidity once we spray it down.
So what we're going to try and do here, we've also got a cork round, which crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, a lot of different arboreal geckos love these because they can hide in the tube. What we're going to try and do, or what we plan to do, is wrap these vines around this so the cork bark is somewhere in the air and actually provide somewhere for the gecko to hide.
So for the small moss vine, we've gone for what it shows on the box once again, the twisted effect, which I think looks really nice, and we think it makes the enclosure come together a bit.
So what we've eventually done, we went for how they do it on the box with the twist that we did in our last video, and then in one of the center twists we did one big loop and we put the cork bark in there, and it's going to provide an arboreal space for the gecko to hide in, and these geckos really do love the hollowed out cork tubes. And then we've also got our mossy vine, so we've done the same, the twist. It also makes it more secure as this is the thinner vine, and Ollie is just securing it in now, so it's another place where the gecko can climb up inside the enclosure.
So we'll give you a bit of a close-up now, because I know that the camera is a bit further away, on how we've set up these vines.
So the gecko can use this cork round. It can enter from the front and the back. We'll try and put a hanging plant at the back here, just so it makes it a little bit darker and the gecko can feel more secure inside. So we've got a couple different plants that hang on the side. These do have suction cups. So we've got a smaller one here and the larger one there. They're both from the Komodo brand.
So yeah, we're just going to put one on either side of the tank towards the back to give him a nice little area for him to hide in. So this is the kind of leaf setup we've gone for. Now of course this side is for his hot side. He can hide in amongst these leaves onto the glass and he gets feel secure whilst he warms up.
And then on our cooler side here, he's obviously got his cork round here, but he can climb behind these plants, which acts as a hide, and cool down over in this back corner on this side.
We went for a lot of kind of like hidey areas that he can go into, just to give him a bit more of a secure feel whilst inside the tank, especially with a new enclosure.
Because if your gecko is more secure, when it comes out it's going to be more confident, because you're not stressing it out by giving it no hiding spaces in the tank.
So now we're going to be installing our hydrometer that we also got from Exoterra. It's a nice little digital display. Now of course you can get the regular one, but of course this just can sit on the top of the tank, sticks to the top, and you can see it from quite far away how much humidity that they actually have inside the tank. We're going to be putting it on the cooler side, around where his little hide is.
So we've cut out a notch in the top of the back end here, because we don't want to run it all the way from the bottom. So this way it will just go through your little slots in the back of the Exoterra and go behind this plant here.
As you can see, it has a digital display. It's currently showing the current humidity inside the room, which is 41. It's quite hot today.
And if you do actually have the Exoterra canopy that goes on top of the Exoterras, these things actually slide on the back, which is quite a cool feature if you do have the complete setup.
We don't have the canopy, so they do provide also another sticky Velcro that allows you to stick it to the top of any tank that you have. So we're just going to put the lid on to secure all of our wires nicely inside. And then we're going to be sticking this towards the front of the tank so it's able to be easily read at all times. So we're going to have this running just towards the front and stuck on about there. which allows us now to read the humidity at all times from anywhere in the room. You can just peer in, it has a nice large display and makes the humidity reading a lot clearer than the non-digital one. But of course this will run you back a lot more in terms of price. I believe a regular humidity one is about £3.
Yeah, it's about £3.
Whereas this was £20. So as you can tell, a large difference, but it's personal choice, and of course with this setup we've gone for a lot of the extra items.
And they do actually make a thermometer version of this, but we're not going to be using that because we do have the digital display that shows us our temperature at all times from the heat map.
And if you're wanting even more convenience, they do actually sell a combo of both the thermometer and the hydrometer in one, shows a split down the middle, both sides.
So we've got the Exoterra heat map. This one is actually a sticky back one, so you don't need to stick it with any sellotape or stuff like that. So you peel off the back and stick it to this side. Obviously we have got the temperature probe on the inside, which is making sure that it is at a safe temperature for our Crested Gecko. So we're just going to peel off the back into our heat map. It's really simple. And then we're going to put it before the foam, and we're going to put it above the substrate, just where this plant is, and it's going to provide a hot spot for our gecko when it needs to warm up.
So as you can see, we now have a nice square area for him to go and heat up, of course all hidden by the plants inside.
So just like our other tank, we've gone for the Arcadia Pro T5 UVB kit, which is a 12-inch light, and it comes with the reflector, which is really good, and it is literally a plug in and go one. You don't have to worry about any lighting units, plug it in either side. You just twist the bulb in and it's ready to go. So you can see here it's got the reflector on the bottom. It's just a nice little unit, Pro T5.
So like before, we're going to have the bulb sitting on the front of the tank, kind of covers more of the areas and leaves the back kind of shaded and gives him those hiding spots still.
So instead of showing you the light on, we're going to go through how to use the Hydrometer thermostat with the digital display, because it not only controls the heating, it also controls the lighting as well, the on-off cycle. So it's a whole complete unit that's really good. So the instructions show you everything to do with your Hydrometer digital temperature thermostat. But basically what you have to do is press set for 5 seconds, and then it rolls through all these different things. So we set our daytime temperature first to 26 degrees and our nighttime temperature down to 20. This large dial here actually shows the current temperature of the enclosure. Obviously it's summer where we are, so it's a little bit higher than the temperature we are trying to achieve. And then below we've got our timers. So there's a timer for the light and the heat. So we've gone for 9 o'clock till 9 o'clock. This gives a good 12-hour photo period where it's 12 hours of night, 12 hours of day. And lastly we set the time, so the whole unit knows what time it is and will set off the temperature and lights at the correct time. So guys, you've just seen what our finished setup looks like. A nice few scenic shots of our tank, all the different hiding spots and stuff like that.
I'm quite impressed in how it actually came out. I think this is a really nice setup, definitely worth the money. And of course, if you guys are looking into setting up something along this line and you have this kind of budget, this gives you some ideas. Now, of course, we did browse a lot of ideas before actually designing this tank.
Yeah, so check out our other video as well of the slightly cheaper tank. It gives as many ideas as possible when you do your own. With each tank we do, it looks a lot better each time, and we start to know different things to put in it, get a little bit more adventurous, especially with this cork ground that we've suspended in the air, which is very cool.
So guys, we hope you have enjoyed this setup for Crested Gecko. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, leave a comment, maybe some suggestions you have for our tank, or something that you guys have done in your own tank that we did differently. So, from both of us at Predatory Exotics,
We'll see you next Friday.
bye guys.